Honeywell Cinema Club, episode 4, take 4.
Hi guys, welcome back to Honeywell Cinema Club. I'm Brynna.
And I'm Emma.
And today we're going to be talking about one of our films that we've actually fully released. It's on YouTube for you to watch.
Our first film we released together.
That part, crazy. As Honeywell, Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
Yes. Crazy. That Brynna actually wrote and directed and acted in.
Unfortunately, yeah, that was honestly much to talk about with that. But yes, it's true. Did that. When you're doing indie film and stuff like that, everyone wears all the hats. Like, you're not going to have dedicated things like that, especially when it's volunteer, unpaid. You know, everyone's just doing it for the love of it. So everyone wears all the hats. But for this one, mayhaps one too many hats. It was honestly insane. It was really, really crazy. But we did it. It's out. It's there.
Yeah. I'm really excited because we've been so focused on Clover stuff and then just on goals for the year and talking about Honeywell, and we put this out back in October.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really excited to just dive in. I know I've heard so much about it, and this is really our first Honeywell project, but our first
thing.
I was gonna say it was our first thing, but it wasn't our first thing.
Maybe in Nashville when we're
first
here.
Project in Nashville.
Yeah.
First short film together. We can say that.
Yes, we can say our first short film together.
It's true.
It's true. Yes, it is. Yeah, Emma really saved the day with this one. Emma edited this film. This film really, she needed some help. It was sitting on the shelf for a year, fully filmed, everything done, filming wise, but did not get touched editing for I think almost over a year.
Which just happens, especially when you're doing student films that aren't planning to be in festivals and isn't a part of a class, when it's just a passion project.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets busy and then doesn't really know what to do. And then you moved to Nashville.
Yeah, I moved to Nashville a week or two after we wrapped, actually.
Yeah.
It was really hectic, crazy planning, timing, but I did not want this to sit. I wanted it out, and there was just a lot of factors beyond my hands, because if I tried it, no, I don't think I even had the footage. It was honestly crazy.
Yeah, you
but
didn't.
Emma really came through and saved this film, so thank you, Emma.
You're welcome. Which is funny because I was thinking about this the other day. I originally hadn't even offered to edit the whole thing. Do you remember that? I was
oh my god,
if you can get me the footage, I'll just make you an assembly cut.
Yes, you did say that.
So you can just see it and then find somebody to edit. And then I was I'm actually just gonna edit this for you.
Yeah, that was, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You totally did do that.
It just I just kind of kept making edits, and I was so I did this and I did this and I did this, and then you were can you do this? Can you do this?
What if we just kept the good
I'm
times
just gonna
going?
edit this whole thing.
Yeah.
So
that's how it works sometimes. You never know. Fate, destiny.
So we're gonna dive into everything, because this project is so interesting to me, because it's more of we've talked about this a lot, but more of a proof of concept.
Yes, it is.
And so for anyone who doesn't know, a proof of concept is a lot of indie production companies will make proof of concepts to show to producers and people who could potentially give you money for a big feature. And so it's kind of proof of, hey, this is what the idea is. Here's what it would look like. So if you're going to shoot on film, you're going to make your proof of concept on film. If you want it to be super dark and moody, or super bright and vibrant, you kind of make the proof of concept a really short version of your vision for the feature.
Mm-hmm.
So then producers can see it and go, okay, I get the vision, I see the characters, I'm invested in the story, I'm going to give you X amount of money to make the feature. And so talk to me about first of all, coming up with the story, but then also choosing to kind of focus on it as a proof of concept and what your vision is for the future of the concept.
I will do that. So this did start, I feel like it's a a lot of Genesis stories.
Which is a loaded question, but like I feel like it's a good start.
No, it is a good start. I had a nightmare. This film came from a nightmare I had. And I actually had severe nightmares like for the majority of my life. And I had to take like medication for it for 3 years. I'm actually off of it now. We're good. But like real like sleep terror, like nightmares. So bad. But I had one about like this very like dark academia witch academy, but like all the girls were getting murdered. Like we were all getting picked off one by one, and like there was just like the shining level of like elevator blood like going down the hallways and everything. And then it was really scary, but also when I woke up I was like, wait, that could eat. And then I was like, let's relive the trauma, go through it, and create something from this, because it was honestly very interesting to me. And I mean, who doesn't love like dark academia witchy aesthetic? Come on. So I was playing with that, just thinking about it. And then I mostly was an actor. I mostly am an actor, but I also love filmmaking too. And at this point, I had mostly done acting at UF during my time there. And I met someone on set of something, and they said, what if we got together and like tried to pitch something together, and like we pitch to each other and we'll choose something and like work on it. Awesome idea. Let's do it. We pitched each other some things, and she actually really loved the like witchy dark academia thing. She loved it. She was like, I kind of want to go with this if you're cool with that. And I was like, sure. Okay. I wasn't even expecting it to be like my thing, because I'd done a few of mine already, and I was honestly shocked. I was like, okay, that's just my dream. Let's do it. And I started writing it, and it started off as like heavy horror, like the blood shining, like elevator levels blood. Like it was going to be all the girls dying, all of this death, and like gore. And I love horror. Like that's honestly where my brain always goes to when I'm doing art, like every single time. So that's where my brain went. But it was such a long encompassing story, because like the deaths and the blood and everything is like the end of this story. So I was like, okay, well then you have to do the whole thing. And so it's like, okay, that's going to be like hours long. And so it was like, we love that idea, but that's not feasible for what we were doing. So we need to change that, or just do like a scene from it or something. So then I was playing around with the idea, maybe I'll just do like the end scene, but then you wouldn't care about those characters at all. And I was like, maybe not that. So I thought maybe we would start at the opposite end, the beginning, like, okay, where are we? Who are these people? Why should you care about them? And kind of pitching the aesthetic, the themes, the characters, and their relationships, and the style of the whole project, instead of just showing like the ending. I was like, genius. Why didn't I think of that? So started writing that, and it just became that. That's what we ended up doing. So, and it's weird because I never wanted it to be a film. I actually see this as more like a limited series.
I was going to say, we've talked about this a lot, and you really more picture it as like an episodic thing.
I really do. And I was always thinking like HBO, but
hey, maybe
Netflix.
Well, listen.
Who knows? But I always pictured it as a limited series, just one season. And I do still have really, I think personally, really cool ideas about it, but we made it, and that was going to be it. So I found out about proof of concept when I was researching writing and putting films out, because I never really thought that far ahead. I was honestly just making films to make films before that. So I was like, what if I actually tried a little bit harder in this one, I guess? So in researching, found out what a proof of concept was, and found out some of my favorite films have started as proof of concepts. For example, Whiplash is one example. Napoleon Dynamite is another. And one of my absolute favorites, Sin City. And the actual proof of concept for Sin City ended up being the opening, like the cold open of Sin City. It's so good.
There was another film. They weren't I don't think they were a proof of concept short film, but I know The Greatest Showman did like a proof of concept like
really
rehearsal room.
Oh,
and
they
had like actors.
They had them
if I'm
sing.
getting this wrong, they had them sing in front of like producers and people, and that's what got it greenlit after such a long time of like trying. He's like, Hugh Jackman said it was like 7 years or something of him trying to pitch that movie.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I had no idea about that. I've seen videos from that though, but I didn't know that was a like pitching for that. Oh,
yeah, is what I've heard.
Maybe
it's what I've heard.
That's just a rumor.
Yeah, but what about prior to this? Had you done other projects where you had done so many like multitasking things, like where you were actor, director, and writer. So this was something that you were like familiar with, or was it like your first time trying to juggle like all three of those things and other things too at the same time?
So true. Great question. Every film before then that I had directed in, I had also acted in and did all the hats besides one. Only the first one that I ever directed was I just directed. When I wrote and directed my first film, it was like a film contest, and that might have been when Emma and I actually first met. That was the Femme Films pitch that you pitched London.
We definitely met at the NCF auditions.
Oh, true.
I know that for a fact because I couldn't get your name right.
That's embarrassing.
And everybody in the room already knew you because I had worked with you on like chomp picks and stuff. Yeah. And everyone was like, so that is going to be Brynna. And I said,
right. I didn't get the memo.
So I like vividly remember that.
Really?
Which is, I vividly remember that.
That's so funny.
Because I was the one going out and grabbing people in the hallway. But I do remember after that was Femme Films, and then we did like the cinematography thing.
Well, the first time we talked about us meeting was us pitching for something, and my thing won. And I do think my pitch was really solid. I didn't think about what would happen if I got chosen.
No, honestly, I don't know what I would have done if London Fog got chosen.
I'm so glad it didn't, because it's not meant to be. Was not meant to be.
That is like, there's no way I could have done it.
There was no way.
And it would have been so bad.
Meant for bigger things.
Yeah.
Truly. And and this one, that my first one I did, and that's a whole nother story, that was meant to be a college thing left in the past to die. So that is okay. But that was the only other time, or the only time I'd ever just done behind the camera. Everything else I've done was writing, directing, producing, costuming, hair, makeup, and acting in, at least.
Which is very like
cuckoo crazy.
Indie short. Oh yes. But I was gonna say, anyone who like directs or writes a short film, you're usually doing like,
you're doing all the hats,
1,000 things,
which is a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of stress. And I do think there is a right way to do it. I do believe it is possible. I don't believe I have figured that out yet.
Right.
I would not confidently say, yeah, like that was a great idea every time I did that, and nothing went wrong, and it was smooth and created a perfect end product.
Where do you feel like it, not that it lacked anywhere, but I know like from directing and stuff, you're so focused on the actors, but then also having to focus on like, do you like the shots that are happening? And then also thinking about your own performance. Do you feel like certain areas kind of like took precedent over the other?
Could not have said that better. Yes, and definitely, unfortunately. And the worst case of these offenders was, where did you sleep last night? And this is the most recent of things I've done all the hats for. And there's so I could talk about this forever and ever and ever. But for example, one example is that we're shooting at the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida in the summer. I cannot tell you how balls to the wall hot it is. And honestly, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. You're swimming through the air. It honestly is terrible. So we're filming then, and it was all like guerrilla filmmaking. Like, besides one room, I got like approval and had to go through a bunch of hoops and like years of like sowing seeds to get into this room.
Yeah, which is a great room. It's one of the libraries at UF.
It's like a special
library. Like
crazy.
Everybody kind of compares it to like the Harry Potter library, right? Or is that the other one?
No, that
Yeah, and so it's like, it's a really nice library at UF. No one ever gets to film there. So when I saw that she had filmed there, I was like,
yeah, it's like one of those places you can't bring out your phone or like your liquids. You have to sign your life away on a piece of paper, and you can only write in pencil. Like, they don't mess around in these places. But besides that, it was all guerrilla filmmaking, so it's all last minute, like go, we're just gonna film here. And then where we were filming in this library, you pull up to the curb, got tons of equipment to get inside. And I was the director and writer first and foremost. I think that's the most important thing. So in my head, I'm like, I am a crew member. I don't want to be a bad leader. The first thing for like being a good leader is being one of the team members. So that means carrying stuff in, dragging all this in. But in the summer, when I was going to be in the film, the hair, the makeup, the frazzlement, me psychologically knowing in the back of my mind, like, I don't feel good. I know I can tell I don't feel comfortable in my clothes, and I was like in my costume already. It was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But that's just one example. But I will say it gets worse.
But it can be done, because you have people like, there are a ton of actors who direct while also acting, especially in like TV and stuff. Like, just because we've talked about it a lot, but like I love watching a lot of BTS for Smallville, because towards the later seasons, Tom Welling started directing some episodes.
Oh my gosh, wait, really?
Yeah. And I always find that interesting, because it's like you end up directing yourself. So then did you ever have anyone like on set where you were like, hey, if you think I need improvement, let me know? Or were you just kind of going with the flow because there were so many things happening?
I definitely said that. Like I'm very team oriented. Like this is all of us together, baby. We're all in this together. So genuinely, if you're like, girl, this is not it, I need you to tell me. Like, I'm very, very much about that. But because it was so quick, so frazzled, like nope, not nearly enough planning went into this. And that's the biggest filmmaking lesson I've ever learned, is besides making sure you're recording sound, the second one is the planning. Planning is filmmaking, at least when you're behind the...
Oh, 1,000%.
That is like literally all I think about now. The more that
you stress out and torture yourself during pre-pro,
the pre-production is crazy.
Easier production is going to be.
And there was like no pre-pro.
Like, you knew me during Clover.
Exactly.
Clover pre-pro, I was like, I'm not going to make it.
I know, that's why.
And then production, I was like, head in the clouds, having a great time.
And that's what it should be.
Yeah.
It was the opposite.
Right.
And that's bad. At least in my experience, that is bad. That is not the way I like to function. That is not the way a set I'm on functions well.
Yeah.
But
you learn from that.
And the thing is, like, you always learn. That's why I'm like, even if it turns out like not what you want it to, and this one did actually turn out way better than what I thought it was going to be with the footage.
The edit?
Getting. The edit really came through. I'm
a little biased.
Totally good. But I was really, really terrified. And just because it was so frazzled, like we had no time. Like, so many of these shots, we're missing so many shots in this film where we're mid-edit, and I'm like, oh, this feels awkward, we need to cut away to this. And I was like, hey, we don't have that. That doesn't exist. We didn't have time for anything just because the setup was so long. Like, our DP was really the only person we had on set that like knew anything about lighting, setup, anything. So you have to wait on this one person who's doing like a 20-person task, and you just gotta roll with it. Like, that's not their fault. That takes time. If there's only one person on your set that can do that, you're gonna have hours in between setups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Worst thing in the world, but it's true. So we're just waiting, and then you can only get one shot. We only had so many things where it's like, it has to be a one take, and we have to keep moving, or we're cutting. And we did both. Lots of both. And
a lot of resets.
And those things just kill you. Those things really kill you in the edit. And you're just trying to keep morale up. And it was honestly so much fun. Like, we had a great time on set. I really strive to just be fun and easygoing. So even if the project, in the back of my head, we're missing a lot of shots here. We're going really fast and everything.
But that's kind of the beauty in like short film making, is you're learning without consequences.
Exactly. No one was gonna die because
no one was gonna yell at you because like time is money, and because we're on like a $100,000
and you have to
set.
learn those lessons before.
Yes. So then when you get on those bigger sets, you're like, oh, I know not to do this thing because I tried that one time and it didn't work out. So it's just a big learning curve in short films, but it's also a good way to like still have your creative freedom and like work on things that you're visualizing and dreaming about.
Exactly. I honestly don't know how people in general, but also especially creatives, can look back on their life and be, oh, I have no regrets. Like, it all happened. No, I have a lot of regrets.
I feel like everybody has regrets, but they just either at some point settle with them and they're like, that just is what it is. Or they're like just lying.
Yeah. I'm like, that is how it ended up. It is what it is. But also, I'm not settled. I am unsettled inside deeply.
Well, I think it's because you also know that you can do better.
Yeah. What's really, really bad was the acting and directing part of this. Because it was so crazy and kooky and insane. As we're filming, trying to get these shots, the acting took a backseat, guys. and this will be the last time that ever happens.
The amount of times that we would watch stuff and me and Brynna would be like, what are you doing? Like, not to call you out because I love you, but Brynna had this accent.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah. So Brynna does this thing, and I've told you about this. Brynna does this thing. I've done this countless freaking times. I don't know why I do this. I do this thing. I get an audition. I get a cold read. I get a side. Doesn't say anything about their accent, where they're from, and I'm like, you know what this character needs? An accent. You know what else it needs? An accent that I have never actually tried to do before.
And it's like most of the time Southern.
And it's every time it's going to be a Southern accent every time.
And so because Brynna was doing like 1,000 different things on this, there were like scenes where she had the accent, and then there were scenes where she didn't have the accent. And so we had to do some ADR. And ADR is basically like, there was construction going on in one of the scenes.
The opening like dialogue.
Like the opening dialogue.
Like,
yeah.
like
so what you do is you like go into a recording booth and you record over yourself. And a lot of movies do this. And we're doing this, and I'm like hearing Brynna record over herself, and I'm like, why do you have an accent right now? Like, why are you having a Southern accent? And she goes, because I have an accent in the film. And I go, I did not know that. Didn't know that. And Brynna's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you have an accent in this? And she's like,
just listen to it back.
You think that's what I normally sound like? And I said, oh, this is starting a really scary conversation.
It was the most terrifying conversation.
And so we have all these inside jokes of her like accent and like ADR and stuff.
It's bad.
But that's just what happens when you're like doing so many different things.
Yeah. And that's a lesson to maybe not do that, or be prepared for all of these things.
Right.
Either don't do it or do it so good that nothing goes
There's
wrong.
one scene where I'm like, oh, fully there's an accent here.
It's not even like a slight accent. It is hard, like 90%. And then in the next scene, I just am speaking normally. And it's because when I was filming that, it was so like, director, we just gotta go, just go. And because of that, the acting really fell through, and that is like such like
it's
keeping you up at night.
Like,
oh my god,
that's your main thing.
That's the bread and butter for me. That's like what I was so excited to do.
Yeah.
And then because of every other hat I had on, all came down. So
that's okay.
It is okay. Like, it truly is a lesson, and we all learn from that. We all gotta have them. But damn, that one kills my soul. And it's funny too. Oh, hey Boone.
Oh, hey Boone.
Hey Boone.
I know you kind of talked about like the themes, like it's witchy, it's kind of like there's a kind of like a horror element to it, but give me like a short rundown of like, for the people who haven't watched this, what to expect and what the story is that you're kind of walking into.
Yes, it's very in media res, which I love. I love it in media res.
And explain what that is for
in media res is like a drop off. Like, the opening is we're in it. We're not getting a long time ago and that
here's this character and here's this character and this is how their relationship is and who they are to each other.
Exactly. We're just kind of dropping you in. I love having people guessing. I think especially for a short film, where a proof of concept, we're trying to sell something, they need to want to know. They need to be like, well, what's going on? I want to know this. Why is this person there? So I do like enjoy leading questions and why these things are happening, but it's pretty vague. Honestly, like, it's pretty vague if you don't know what's going on. That is okay.
And a lot of filmmakers do this, and someone who is really very good at doing this is Christopher Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he will just drop you in the middle of a story, and
Good
it's
luck.
and it's not, a lot of movies like are built in a strategic way to like introduce you to the hero, watch you go through this journey, and then you're like having a satisfied ending with them saving the day or whatever. Christopher Nolan's movies are more like, I want you to experience what it would be like to be this person for a day or like a couple days or whatever. It's just dropping you in to an experience. And some people have a lot of fun with that, and some people are like, I'm so bored and I don't know what this means and like, what is all of this? But I find that so interesting, like just dropping in the middle of a story.
I'm always drawn to that. I feel most of the things I do are very much in that. But TLDR, basic plot summary. This girl, Rory, is a young witch, just discovered her powers, and she has just navigated herself to the Pines Academy. Not me forgetting the name of my own thing. That's crazy. The Pines Academy, which is a home for witches, very much inspired by the craft and AHS Coven. Like, super obviously inspired. Most Coven witch things are kind of in that vein. And it's about her getting a grasp on her powers, taking authority and like ownership of her body and power, and also navigating the relationships that are kind of volatile and crazy and dramatic of these other girls in this coven, because they all got their trauma, their issues, and their powers. If you got trauma and powers, things are going to go down. So especially when you're tight-knit girls who have gone through so much, things are going to get ugly. So it's about family, connection, sisterhood, and coven, but also about Rory, the main girl, really blossoming in her own right. And it's almost like very coming of age too. Like she is learning like how to like succumb to grow with her powers and lead herself, honestly.
Yeah, and I'll say too, like, Rory's powers are like teleportation basically, but she doesn't know how to control that in the beginning of the story, so you're watching her friends try to help her figure out how to control that and navigate it and predict where she's gonna go and like purposefully go to certain places instead of just like falling asleep and then waking up at a railroad or waking up at the beach or whatever. And I always found that super cool because like I feel like that creates such a good reason to like go shoot at fun locations. And so I wanted to ask, what was your like favorite shot or favorite scene to film that you were like, out of everything, this is like what I saw in my head and I'm really happy we got to like execute this?
Ooh, that is definitely just the opening shot. The beach.
I knew it.
This opening shot does mean like so much to me. So like kind of how we're talking about in media res, dropping you into a location. I love the idea of the leading like opening image being confusing. Like, what are we looking at? The opening image is Rory, this girl. She wakes up on the beach and it's the most beautiful Florida sunrise in the world. And we drove to St. Augustine before the sun rose just for this shot. It was honestly insane. We had a skeleton crew. It was really, really awesome. And then we spent the day in St. Augustine after that and then filmed the train track scene later. But just the sunrise scene, I just had this image of a gorgeous thing that could be shot in Florida near me. I knew there are beaches in Florida. Could happen. Beautiful sky. And then I love the idea of people in places where they shouldn't be. Like, it doesn't make sense. Leads to those questions, especially in an opening image. So Rory is there asleep on the beach, like laying down, hair soaking wet. And she's got like long, beautiful, like gorgeous curls. And she's in a heavy knit sweater, a skirt, tights, boots, and a trench coat. Girl, why are you asleep with the water coming over you?
And you open and you're like, is this girl dead? Is she asleep? Like, what's she doing?
Yeah, like, why are you at the beach in this clothing? What the heck? But she kind of accepts it. Like, in her body language, she's not, where am I? Like, she knows what's up. Like, so it's like, why does she know that? Before. And then it's because of the teleportation powers she doesn't have a grasp on. I think that is super fun. I love the opening image idea so much, but it is just gorgeous. I mean, there's nothing better than your environment leading to really awesome locations and settings. I'm drawn to that a lot. I think even with the new thing I'm writing, very much leaning on that. But I think it's so cool to go to places where other people can't go. Because if you don't have a budget, you need to make it look like you do. So using a free thing like a beach, if you have beaches in New York doesn't have that really, like a Florida beach, you know what I mean? Other places don't have that. So what is unique to where you are and you can access that no one else can, I think is really helpful when you're doing indie film. Yeah,
and it turned out great.
It does look really good. Like,
it looks really good, and it's a great opener. And also, like, I love in the edit how we like start with like the ocean sounds and kind of slowly bring you in, and then you see like that like purple pink sky, pretty shot.
And like that's how it looked. That's not even crazy editing. Like, it was just that gorgeous.
Yeah, and then we see her like slowly rise, and then see her and.
No, I love that shot. Also, I'm just thinking now, I didn't even mention this, but also with the genesis of this film, Where Did You Sleep Last Night, the title, like the whole story also comes from my favorite song in the whole world, Where Did You Sleep Last Night. This is originally done by Leadbelly, but it's like an old like blues tune, but I originally found it when Nirvana did their Nirvana Unplugged in New York live recording. Also, my favorite album in the world is that. So I was first introduced to Kurt Cobain covering that song, and then loved it for years. I've always had that in the back of my head. And then I found out it's not even their song, it's a cover, because they mostly did covers in that show. And then I found out who Leadbelly was, and I loved how different those two versions of the songs were. And I was like, there's something here. And those lyrics were always circling in my head. And so if you look at the lyrics, and all the lyrics aren't necessarily tied to the proof of concept, but the actual full story that I have in my head of the limited series is literally straight up from the lyrics. It's actually quite interesting and logical. It's really
that
cool.
was going to be my next question, because I remember you were trying to decide for a while whether or not to call it The Pines or to call it Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
Exactly. Because in The Pines, it's this guy, his lover. He's like, my girl, don't lie to me. Where did you sleep last night? And she's like, in the pines, babe. And they go back and forth, whatever. But she says, in the pines. And I like the idea of it not just being, in the woods, like in the trees, an actual place called The Pines. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what if this place is called The Pines Academy? And this is where the witches grow up and live. And oh my god, actually just thinking about the song is really, really good because of the actual story I have in it. The song itself is just so good, and it's really sad and eerie, and there's kind of like what's that called? Like supernatural episodes.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Not a cult classic, but like La Llorona,
yeah.
The Woman in White. Things like that, where not a conspiracy theory, but
no, I get what you're saying. It's just a little eerie,
a haunted superstition about it, kind of almost. But just I love haunted goodies, weird stuff like that. I know, but the song is so good. Go give it a listen if you haven't. But the story itself and Rory's story, 110 billion% taken from that, and especially for the limited series, I love a structure. I love a theme and structure for something. So for the series I have in my head, each episode is a song title, and each episode is also like a cold open and then cut to present day timeline, very much like Euphoria season 1, like how it would open with Cassie and then Maddie and then Rue, and you get to see their backstory and then go into it. It's kind of like that, but each character has like their song. This playlist is fire, let me tell you, dude, it's so fire. And it would be so cool to make that come to life one day. But even if it's not, it's great practice and development, world building, writing, structure, plotting. It's so fun to do that. I love incorporating structure and theme and songs into my writing.
Yeah. And you also now know, like, whenever you get to a point where you get to make this into a longer thing, you know what you liked and what you didn't, and what worked and what didn't on screen. And that'll help you write and figure out everything with the longer project in the future.
Exactly. That's another great point. Another thing that I really wanted to do with this film, and I do think was educated, came across well. I don't even know what I was trying to say there, but it came across well. My idea was that I love witchcraft. I love powers. I don't always love purple CGI and lightning CGI, and like I don't love it. Does work, and there's great places for that.
But in short films, it's pretty tough.
There's no way in hell we were gonna do that. Like that's crazy. So I love practical. I love practical. Bring back practical effects. So my idea was, how can we do supernatural witchy powers practically with zero budget? How can we do that? And I also love, it's just a lot in anime where it's like an awesome, goated, overpowered power, and then like a drawback that makes it, wait, is that overpowered? Because that drawback is insane. So with Rory, the main girl, the teleportation, because she can't control it, every time when she falls asleep, she is teleported outside of her control to some place she does not want to go. And every morning she has to walk her little butt all the way back to the Pines. And I just love things like that, where there is an immense power but a drawback that really balances it and makes interesting combinations on how do you get around things. I just love that, and I think that worked well. I think that worked really well, actually. There was one effect that did not work, that straight up did not work, and then we had to edit around it. In the stairwell scene, there was,
you were supposed to have like static hair.
Yeah, there was gonna be like a balloon. Yeah, there was gonna be static hair. We did have a balloon, and we rubbed it on my hair, and we were trying to make it raise on camera. I think because of the humidity and electrons and particles.
That's a really hard thing to see on camera in the first place, because I think you had some strands, but like it was against a white wall, and so it was just hard. It was not
giving. So we changed it to where we heard arguing happening, and we were like, we gotta go help them. What's going on? But originally, it was supposed to be like a cool practical effect of static electricity. But thank God for the editing, because again, so bad. I was just watching it like, why? But I do love just practical effects so much, and figuring out like these puzzles of filmmaking. How do we get around this obstacle?
So I know you did this at UF, and I know we've talked about this before, that you weren't a theater major, but you've done so many projects at UF, so you kind of got to know a lot of actors and people in that community. What was your process like for casting this? Because it is such a larger cast for a college short film.
Yes. I love the casting process. I had the best cast in the world, and every director should believe they have the best cast in the world. If you don't, you're doing it wrong. And that's how we feel with Clover, that we just wrapped best cast. Like, it's just perfect. It should feel so perfect, and you should want to shout from the heavens how much you love them. That's how I feel with this cast. I cannot tell you how hard it is as a director as a director and actor, to ask actors to, hey, go ahead and like play pretend and like powers in this room of 20 people and like don't throw up from embarrassment. That's really hard. It's really, really hard to do this. A lot of people have been watching like Stranger Things BTS and realizing, oh my God, I could never do that. That is crazy. It's insane. It's really, really embarrassing. So I knew I had to find dedicated, hardworking individuals who could just fall into it and truly believe in and play pretend and have fun in playing pretend with other girls. And so I didn't really have a casting process. Besides, I kind of knew people. And then I just kept my eye out. I'm always keeping my eye out. I love casting people without auditioning. That might be weird. Wait, I'm kind of thinking about this. I hardly ever do auditions. So it was
more like you reached out to them, kind of pictured them for it, and asked them if they were down to do it.
I very much did. And I was pitching it to them because I wanted them to care about it and not just want like a film like credit, which I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's fine. I don't know why. But they had to do this acting with the supernatural stuff. You have to be ready to do that.
Because you're going, hey, this like shadow that you can't see is going to throw you up against a wall, and you need to act like you're getting choked out.
Yeah. For like 20 minutes. So
for free?
Yeah.
And so you really have to like convince them, when you know that they're going to be good and you want them to have a good time on your project. Exactly. You want them to care about it. Because if they don't care about it and they're not getting paid, there's not really a reason for them to like be good.
Yeah. And honestly, 3 of the girls I hadn't even worked with. I just knew of them and watched their work like at these showcases or premieres that we'd been in. I just believed in them. I just love believing in people and like trusting in them to like do the work. And I think people can just pull up to the plate. I feel like I can sense it, like if it's good.
You do. And I'm going to bring this up because we were just laughing about this, but you are a big believer in everyone. And it's one of my favorite things about you. But Brynna did just figure out that there's a max amount of people that you can follow on TikTok.
So funny. I did. I was like, why can't I follow anyone? It's 10,000 people, by the way.
But Brynna follows everybody because she's like, oh my God, support, which is great.
I'm like, I want you to have one more.
But when Brynna was like, yeah, so I found out there is a max amount of people you can follow on TikTok. And I was like, well, how many people are you following?
Emma said, well, who would reach that? And I said, how do you think I found out?
That is how that conversation went.
So
she was like, how many people are you following? I said, like 80. And she's like, so I did reach 10,000.
That is so funny you're relating that. But it's true.
That is who you are. Like you just see something in people and you're like, no, I'm going to make sure that they push on that, which is why we're sitting here in the first place. Like, I say this once an episode probably, but like I wouldn't be doing Honeywell. I wouldn't have made my first film this past year without Brynna, because like, I don't know, you have friends who are like, oh yeah, I think you should do that, but then kind of go back to their own thing, which is normal. But then Brynna will like text you and be like, so are you writing? Are you writing? Are you writing?
I will back
Are you writing? We're going to start filming.
Yeah.
We're going to start fundraising. And that's such a good motivator. And there's really not a lot of people out there like that who will like push you that hard.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And so that's a good thing. And that's a good thing in a director to have too.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's so funny you related to that, but that is true. And there is downfalls to that though. Like, I believed in myself that I could do this accent. I've never tried before. I was like, yeah, I can do that. I believe in people. I believe in me. Let's do it.
I think if you had more prep time,
yes,
the prep time, really thought about it, you could have done it.
The biggest lesson is the prep time. The biggest lesson is the prep time, honestly. Yeah. But that's so true. But basically, with these girls, I just freaking believed in them. I was like, this can happen, and it did. And I did on the day of like the big fight magic scene. I had to come to Jesus moment. I was like, y'all, listen, this is gonna be probably the worst thing you've ever done. It's gonna be horrible, but we need to lean into that, because if we don't 100% full heart go for it, you're gonna be able to tell. So we need to go for it. And the thing is, it's not just one of us. We're all in this together, which is also helpful. But everyone, not one person like hesitated. Everyone locked in. I think that was like my the football
Lasso.
Yes, my Ted Lasso moment. I was like, we're gonna lock in, and we did. Also, another thing about like me acting in this, and maybe about everyone being comfortable with each other, I specifically chose, because if you're writing and directing and acting in it, you can kind of choose what character you want to be. I specifically chose the character I did because of what she had to do in the short film. Her power is blood manipulation. I love that power. But the catch, she can't just like blood bend you right here. She has to ingest your blood in order to control it. So there's a very interesting layer to that. So basically during this fight, someone's blood that she is trying to control and get ahead of in this match falls to the ground. We're in a historic ground level floor in U.S. historic dorms.
The blood falls to the floor.
The blood falls to the floor. This is the nastiest floor you have ever seen in your life. And I did take a Clorox wipe and wipe it. But I did do, might have been one or two takes. It might have been one or two. But the character had to like blood off the floor. I really wanted that to happen. And I was not going to ask someone else to do that.
Well, and Brynna's not the type of person who's like, yeah, I'm just going to like swipe it up with my finger and then.
No, of course not. Brynna
goes, I'm going to lick the floor.
Yeah. I just had that image. It's actually based on this one image. This one image, that was me putting it up. It's based on this one image I love. And I just felt like you could create that intensity and vibe with licking blood off the floor. And I really, really wanted that.
I mean, it's a great shot. I love that shot. And I remember when I first saw that, I was like, is she licking the floor at UF?
Yeah, she sure did.
But that's kind of like, it was supposed to be jarring because you're like, oh my God, what's about to happen?
Exactly.
Like, why is she licking that up?
Exactly. And that's exactly what I wanted it to be. But that's another thing that might be like a positive if having like an actor director too, is they're in the trenches with you, girl.
Yes.
Like, you might be choking on the wall, but I'm licking the floor. So yeah, we're all in it together, guys.
A big shout out to the person who did the score.
George. My king.
George.
I bring up George all the time to you.
Like this edit was good. But then when we laid in the score, I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, it makes everything so much better, especially when you're working with practical effects and there wasn't going to be like a visual.
The music really
played a big part. Sold it and helped it.
Yes.
Because it really like makes you feel when this is supposed to be like an eerie moment or like a challenging moment.
Yeah.
And so it really puts you in the zone a little bit easier, a little bit better. And so George did a fantastic job on that.
I love it. Dude, literally right before we filmed this, I was like, I have to thank two people. It's Emma and George. And I freaking forgot. Yes, Emma and George saved this film. This film was not going to happen without this. And I have preached this to the choir. I say this to Griffin like all the time. I'm like, if it wasn't for Emma and George, this would not have happened. And it's a whole team sport, everyone together. This was saved by them. Truly, like, Hail Mary. They came together for that. So thank you, Emma and George.
Yeah, and this was a learning curve for me too, because it was the first time I edited like a long form narrative.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
I had done like shorter things before, but it was the first time like I really got to do that, and I'd really been focused on a lot of documentary stuff in a while, so it
was very different for you probably.
Yeah, and it was nice to like come home and have something creative to work on.
Yeah.
And so that was fun, and then it ended up being our first Honeywell project.
I think that was a great project for us to start with, because it was done. It just needed to be post-production, and I think that was honestly a really great intro for us.
Yeah.
Because if we started, I think that would have been crazy. Like, from ground one.
If we started with Clover too, like, Clover won't come out until like 2027.
It was really nice having something in between.
So it was nice to like put something out and put a name to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. Who said anything about regrets? Not me.
Not us. Oh my gosh. So if you loved hearing about this story and this film, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go see it, I want to go see all these cool shots they're talking about, you can go watch Where Did You Sleep Last Night on Honeywell Films YouTube channel.
This YouTube channel.
Yes.
Click on the profile.
If you're listening or watching on Spotify, you can find our YouTube channel at Honeywell Films, or you can even go to our link tree on Instagram and you can look at all of our different links, follow us on socials, read our article that's out now. We did an article with Nashville Voyager.
Yeah, we did.
And we'll talk about all of that soon. That was a really cool experience.
We have so many other things to talk about.
We have so many things to talk about.
So many.
But yeah, so thanks for sharing your story, and thanks for talking about everything.
Thanks for asking me questions and listening. Please go ahead and comment down below your biggest filmmaking lesson. Mine, as we know, is the pre-pro, the planning. Filmmaking is planning. So I'm going to be the first person to comment below on my personal account and tell you that. So join the conversation down below. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. This is Honeywell Films. Give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.